Welcome to the Bonded Podcast, hosted by Dr. Patty and Lizzie Shutt.
Welcome, everyone, to the Bonded Podcast. I am your co-host, Dr. Patty, a clinical psychologist with over 25 years of experience in healing attachment and trauma wounds.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lizzie Shutt, daughter, nature lover, healer, and mental health counselor in training.
We are so excited to introduce something that's been growing in the laboratory of life at the Sacred Treehouse, the Therapeutic Oasis, and in our Shutt Hacienda.
Let's dive in. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the Bonded Podcast.
Hi.
We're so excited to have you here. I know I've known you since college, and I've introduced you to my mom in college as well, but you've been
Thank
one
God.
of mine. Yeah. What you both, as much as, she's supported you, you have supported me in becoming who I am. So I'm so grateful that we can begin sharing your wisdom here with our community. And you really stepped into this role in the last few years with your Date Like a Queen program and really finding your love in the last 2 years or so. But when we were friends and met in college, you were in a very different place. So I'm really curious if you'd be willing to share and start off with that journey, how you went from when we met, you were running a vegan soup brand to now supporting women in all different witchy, intuitive, amazing ways.
Yeah, I would say that time of my life was really defined by scarcity and fear. Like, I would say all of my decisions, pretty much from career to food choices to relationship, the undertone of it was fear. And that's not to say that they were terrible decisions or I regret all of those decisions by any means. They made me who I am and gave me access to my intuition and my purpose and people in my life. So there's no regrets around it, but it really, the undertone, was deep, deep fear. Around that time that I was working and running the vegan startup, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 renal failure, and the whole fabric and texture of my reality really changed. And I was just really scared. I was really young. I was like 21 years old. And I found myself in a relationship with a very hyper masculine person that I was registering in my system as just like safety at that time, because the main masculine role in my life, who actually had a lot of positive and majority positive, healthy masculine traits of like protector and like the truly like the dream father role, he was like really, he was dying. Like his whole being was dying. And I very much relied on him as like my sense of safety and compass, and really like looked at him, I think like a lot of children do, as my like intuitive guide. And I also happened to really like him and trust him and love him. And he was also my friend. So when he started to get sick and entered into like what would be 7 years of a dying process, which he had already started at that point, and this relationship came into my life and job opportunities came into my life, I made a lot of those decisions out of fear, like fear that I couldn't lose my dad by myself, or just like couldn't live and like function as an adult woman on my own without like daddy's help or without like a man's help, to be honest. And I think a lot of women actually do feel that way of like, how am I going to do all this life stuff without a partner? And yeah, the job, which I loved, if I think about it, I also got into that role because I started studying food, because I was scared that I would end up with issues that my dad had. And so the roots of so much were fear, down to then leaving the career, starting my consulting company, because I was scared that if I didn't do my own thing, I wouldn't have enough time with my dad. So there's also love there and a desire for love to be there with him and all of that. But yeah, that was where we all met. Was a lot of fear and proving that I could do it, whatever that means.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really speaks to some of the beliefs that we're going to get into, is how these beliefs just like shape our life wherever we pick them up through programming, childhood, social, is that we can let these beliefs start to shape the decisions that we make in our life. And especially that will show up in relationships too, which we'll, love to hear more about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so speaking of those beliefs, one of the kind of themes, it being the holidays, people are seeing a lot more like Hallmark movies, or just being around family getting questions, when are you getting married? And they don't even have a partner yet. This like pressure and these like perfect Christmas cards, and a lot of loneliness can be rising up in people, or beliefs like, I'm never going to find that person. When is love coming for me? I'm not good enough for that person, or I'm too much, as you speak to. So yeah, curious if you have really been, if that's a big part of your process, is working on those beliefs with women.
Oh yeah, that's the whole process, and we can get into it, but and how, of course, like so much of your podcast as well, is the beliefs that we have shape our reality, and the story that we're telling ourselves, the narrative that we have about our lives and our timing and our relationship status, like completely dictate the quality of the life that we're having, and also how people respond to you. And so there's a couple of things before we get into the beliefs that I do want to just speak to people who are feeling any sort of negative emotion, or whatever they're deeming to be a negative state, a state they don't want to be in around the holidays, or some worry, is two things. One is, I was actually just interviewing an amazing woman. Her name is Kim Kranz for my podcast. She has a tarot deck that is epic, a few different decks. And she was being really vulnerable about how she thought that she would be the one hosting the holidays with her kids and her husband, and she's not. And she's not there. And we talked about the sadness of that, and like owning that the reality is not what you thought it was going to be. And also like really stepping back at looking at what the invitation of life is. Like truly getting curious of like, this is the status of my life. This is my relationship status. This is work. This is family. Like looking at all of the ingredients and looking at it through the lens of what is the invitation that I am being asked of right now. What is the invitation, and what is the initiation that I am being called towards with these heavy emotions that I may be feeling? And whatever your answer is, like that is the next, I don't want to say the next level, but that's the next step of you coming into more honest truth with who you are, with your authentic self. And from that state is when your person does find you. Like, because if you want true love, true connection, you have to be truly, wholly yourself. You're not going to be perfect. They're going to also help you feel that as well. But that's one piece, is like asking the question, what's the invitation of life? The invitation may be to focus on art. The invitation may be to approach the holidays in a different way, to create rituals that then some years later you do bring to your partner and to your family. Maybe it's to get involved with nonprofits. Maybe it's to look at your business through a different lens, your relationship with the divine, whatever that is. There's an invitation. I know it. And when you can claim that invitation, a lot of the negativity around life is not the way I want it to be will start to calm down a bit.
Yeah, because the single era or not being with someone creates space for something else is really what I'm hearing, is like the invitation is for something else to arise and to be the focus of this time in life right now. And that's a beautiful thing, or it can be. And it can
Definitely.
help you step into that person that's going to attract and align with your ideal partner.
Yeah, I think I'm even hearing you, Sam, really talk about a lot of things that I work with people on. I would call it radically accepting, like where I am today and how things are today. And they may not be how I want them to be, but that first step of actually being able to accept it as a part of life, right? And I'm not saying this is easy. This is about the most difficult thing. It's easy to radically accept, joy and happiness. But when we're having to radically accept a first holiday season without someone we love, or a breakup, or having to share our kids with an ex, those kinds of things, those are not easy things to radically accept. And yet they're so powerful when we do, because we that is literally the gateway of walking into and what else is here for me to discover about myself, about the world, about just the infinite possibilities. And sometimes that sounds really, hokey or, too woo woo for people. And sometimes they're just not there yet. That there is a lot of grief that happens through the process of being in radical acceptance. And so I just wanted to speak to you. I feel like you were saying those things. And for listeners, we don't want to really make that sound easy. Okay. But it is possible.
Yeah. I mean, I wish you could be on my podcast all the time, because it's like you with all of your decades of wisdom and your doctorate and everything, who you are. I'm like, oh, please, now you translate it, Patty, for people, because you did do that for me. I remember vividly after my dad passed, and I just was rejecting it all. I just was in a pure state of, partially, I guess, denial, but like rejection of this part of my life. And that's a lot of times what I see single women doing with their singleness. It's single is such a silly word. It's like, you're not alone. Like, please don't fool yourself that you're alone. Like, you are infinitely connected and you have community, hopefully, or you're building one. So anyways, but I was in such a state of rejection, and you really taught me, like, if you are rejecting this part of your story, you're also just like rejecting life, because I didn't want to look at that part of my story because I felt so much like guilt and sadness and regret and hopelessness. And you said to me in one of our sessions, Patty was my coach for a very long time and still is one of my greatest mentors, PS. You said, but it is your story. And I remember just sitting there and being like, fuck. Sorry if you have to edit that out. Like, it is. And it is. Like, what am I going to do with it? And it took me, and it still is taking me, a really long time. And it is not easy. And like you said, it is possible. And I think, like, what happens, what I see at least a lot in my work now, is that the reasoning that a lot of people give to why they're single right now or not with their partner is it's like a punishment. And I think that's a byproduct of like new age manifestation language, that like, if you're in flow, if you're doing everything right, if you're in your practice, if you're doing whatever it is, your somatic work, your nervous system work, or your inner child, whatever, then like things should be joyful and flowy and easy. And like, you'll have the book deal and you'll have the partner, and like, it'll all just happen if you're doing whatever modality probably that person is selling. I'm not against it. I sell courses, programs, all the things. And please don't invest in anything because you think there's something wrong with you and that somebody is going to have the answer. Like, the reason why you're single is not because there's something wrong with you. There's not because you're being punished. And at least in my work and a lot of the movies and different things that I see, it's like, oh, you have more work to do or else you would be with your partner. Like, you still have all of these issues. It's like, yes, do we have underlying beliefs that we could work on? For sure. And if you're looking at this part of your life as a punishment instead of as an invitation, those are two wildly different experiences. And if you keep looking at it as a punishment, the likelihood of you attracting this incredible man or woman into your life, it's not impossible, but you could see how that could be more challenging.
I mean, that's pretty much a constant message in my sessions around someone struggling with loneliness, lack of connection, and desire for, intimate relationship is, and I truly do believe it, that the person is already here. They're there. And it is a matter of, it isn't even about how much work or how hard you work. Sometimes it's quite magical, okay? You know that, right? Yeah. And sometimes there's some work, and not to say that there's work because there's something wrong. I love that, Sam. It's more about clearing kind of the space, clearing in many ways. I feel like my own life has been a sort of, shedding of what's not me. What was sort of put on me as not mine and not my story and not who I am, and a sort of shedding of that to be myself, as wild and crazy as I am. I am much happier and much more useful in the world when I am me, truly me, and not trying to be someone else or look like someone else or any of that. And I think that I don't even want to call that work. It's just part of a process, right? And it
Yeah,
can
it's
be fun. I think actually, Sam, you make that a lot of fun. Okay. I try to make therapy and coaching fun. I really do. I mean, if you're in any of my classes, I am super fun and silly and deep and authentic, but you make that process a lot of fun. And I think it should be. It's not like some grueling, terrible work. It's beautiful work.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best compliment I could ever receive because it's true. Like, why can't we dance our way through some patterns we really don't like about ourselves? Why can't we paint our way through it? Why can't we, embody an animal to help release some of the stuck energy and frustration that we have around this one certain thing we keep doing? Like, there is such an infinite number of modalities and experiences and expressions and creative ways to look at who we are. And it is sad to me, and I'm realizing in this moment that like so much of self-discovery, which to me is innately so spiritual, to like really deeply understand your spirit and your soul, and I know we have that all in common, that's why we love each other, that it's been so connected to like really, at least in my world, I see this like exclusively connected to trauma and like needing to do all these really intense things or purge with really intense plant medicine. And if that's the invitation that life is asking for you, answer the invitation, but don't force that. Like, just because that's what's trending right now is this like really cold plunging and intensity and deprivation and all of these things. Like, I think part of my draw towards being a Reiki practitioner is because it is so gentle. Part of my draw towards archetype work and like depth psychology and those types of things is because it can be really creative and really fun. So yeah, it doesn't have to be hard work. You can just like take your play really seriously.
I love that. I love playing with you. And it just welcomes in such a different energy when it is from that place of like play and nothing. You're already just as you are, just as you come, you're already whole. And nothing's wrong with you. I love that. To kind of speak more to this, like, queen, use that like language, could you describe what a queen like means to you, or what it feels like to step into that identity, or how would you introduce that to the community?
Yeah, so there is a whole world of archetypes that I'm still like, I've been studying them and working with them and actually teaching with them for only maybe 2-3 years now. And only now I'm realizing even the depths of study with Carl Jung. Like, it's bananas, like what these archetypes are bringing up in me. And they are really there to support us on our human journey. There are many, many, many archetypes, from the warrior and the witch and the alchemist, the mother, the father, the eternal child. There's many, many, many different ones. And then there's more modern adaptations like the holy whore, the sacred slut, the creatrix, the artist, so many. And really what they're doing is helping us to access, identify, express the infinite faces of the divine that live within us. That's my interpretation of it. That's how I use it. I think in today's society, the one that I find myself in, everyone is so busy, and they're so busy playing the same roles. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But, if you are a teacher of some sort, coach, whatever, therapist, you're teaching, you're guiding. So you're in like mentor sage mode, right? And maybe that's like 70% of your week, or let's say 50% of the week. And then the other, say 40% is mother mode, right? And then you have 10% for 2% for creatrix and your artist, 2% for your temptress and your holy whore, whatever you want to call that. 2% as whatever else those other things are, the witch and alchemist, doing your witchy things, or being a kitchen witch and cooking. And typically what I find is that people have like 5% dedicated to the roles that don't involve making money or taking care of someone else. And to me, as someone who really believes we are here to experience the fullest expression of ourselves, that breaks my heart. And to me, I'm not trained in this in the way that both of you are, but I find that a lot of states of anxiety, of discontent, of, maybe depression, can be linked to people not expressing themselves. I think we could all agree on that. And so the archetypes for me just spoke to me so much. And when I started weaving them into my work, I found it to be this incredibly powerful and playful way for people to gain confidence, because there's this like little bit of an acting thing that you do. And it's very therapeutic in a sense where you're not being, I don't encourage anybody to be not genuine with themselves, but there is a part in everybody who knows how to receive. We know how to receive. It's natural. We know how to receive. We know how to receive because we breathe in. We're receiving all the time. We're taking in information. We're natural receivers. And the queen is the one that I present to tune into when you are having a hard time receiving, because she is amazing at it. She is the part of us that sits on her throne and receives information from the community. She receives gifts. She receives feasts. She receives the most beautiful things that she could imagine. She also receives great responsibility and respect from people. The queen is the part of me that I call on in combination with the warrior when I have boundaries that I need to set, because the queen knows that boundaries are not there to keep people out. They're there to protect not only yourself, but the community that are within your boundaries. So I find her to be really powerful, cultivating discernment, really being able to have an incredible ability to see truth in people's words and their actions, to find truth in just situations in general, to set boundaries, and to receive.
Amazing. And qualities that I can really like see how they line up with the dating process of, okay, I'm not receiving, I'm not aligning with this person. We're going to move on. We're not going to try to keep grasping or getting something here. We know, okay, time to move on. And yeah, do you work mainly with the queen in your Date Like a Queen program, or do you bring in like multiple archetypes?
Yeah, so in Date Like a Queen, it's really the queen. Then I have a program that's 3 months that is different archetypal expressions from Sacred Slut and Creatrix, the Witch, the Lover. I find though that if someone's core focus is dating, what I found is that typically people fall into one primary archetype in dating. And that's typically an adaptive response to upbringing, past relationships, general just interests and like proclivities that they have. So I have found that sometimes people will date from the energy of, say, the lover, who's like the hopeless romantic. And there are so many benefits to that because they have so much empathy. But the problem is when you're leading like fully with the lover is that you can start to make excuses for the person because you can see that like they're wounded and you're like, oh, but I just want to love you and take care of you. Lover and the mother are very connected. If you are dating from, say, the witch, who's like obviously very intuitive, she's very connected to the divine, she's very connected to the spirit worlds and guides and signs, and she could have a mask of, I can't show my real self because I'm like too connected, I'm too powerful, or she could not really be in the present moment that much. And if he doesn't answer a text, then she's like, oh my God, I'm taking this as a sign that I'm not supposed to be dating. And there could be a lot of paranoia around dating from the witch. So I find that, yes, you're always going to have aspects of all of these because this is, I work primarily with women, so it's the faces of the feminine. Men also have this because we have masculine and feminine energies in us all. And with dating, the queen, I find it to be the most helpful when she's leading. And that doesn't mean to change your personality. And that doesn't mean that you have to start like acting like whatever you think a queen is. But it means that she is present because a queen is a leader. All of the other archetypes that I just mentioned, they have leadership qualities in them, of course. And the queen is a leader. She's running a community. She's running her queendom, right? People rely on her. She has an excellent level of discernment and self-trust. And I think that there is, and I'll just say a little bit about this, I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but in the world that I see right now of like feminine and masculine dynamics, and there's a lot going on, I see, around like what it means to be a leader as a man and what it means to be masculine, and women needing to be like soft and feminine and just like get back to our roots of caretaking and making sourdough, which I have no issue against. Like, I may never want to work a day in my life when I have my babies. I have no idea. I have the right to change my mind. And what I don't hear talked about a lot is the fact that women also lead. Women are leaders, especially in the realms of emotions, in the realms of vision. And if you actually want to call in a king, you need to show that you can lead. Because if a king is with a queen who doesn't trust herself, who won't make decisions because she thinks it's really feminine, that's a liability to his kingdom. He can't have that. He needs to know that my queen has got my back. She's got her. And if you want a future family, your future family. So yeah, that's a little bit about the queen.
Yes, I really learned that from you. I really love that perspective that the queen kind of archetype can hold that vision, and then the masculine can really like support that vision into like coming into place, like practically. I love that, and I see that too, because I have come from like this indecision, people pleasing, but my partner really asked me like to make decisions. So I think about you and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, it's not consciously doing that, but I relate to that, and I do relate to a vision holder, and yeah. So thank
And
you for
again,
that.
not easy.
Yeah.
Like really not easy, because something that Patty, you've helped me with so much is like, how can I expand my tolerance for uncertainty, and still own the decisions that I'm making, knowing that, I'm making these because I feel in my heart that it's right for us as a unit, as a family. And I don't know what's going to come from it. And it may actually bring a lot of turmoil to our lives, a lot of emotions. And can I also trust that that still was the right decision for us? I feel that moving to New York, like my partner really wanted to stay in Texas. I love being in New York. Like I'm my best self here. And, some days I look around and I'm like, wow, we're thriving. Look at us. This is the best decision I could have made. And some days I'm like, oh God, he really misses a different part of life. And can I still own that and be open to maybe shifting or just accepting that this is the decision that I made? Okay, what's the invitation?
Yeah, and just having that ability to have that open communication and knowing that like not every day has to be perfect either. Like it's okay, it's normal to actually not feel on top of the world every day, because you want to feel that range. Helps perspective.
I have a question. I don't know, it keeps kind of popping up, and maybe it's not relevant, maybe, but it's coming up, particularly around labeling, like the queen, and how some people might perceive this sort of queen or queen energy as a narcissistic kind of like full of themselves kind of thing, and particularly with women, because when women really step into their power and their leadership, and have this sense of finally really opening to receive. There are strong messages, certainly in whether it's a family system or in our culture, and I hear it really loud right now too, that that women should just be quiet, right? And get what's given to them, sort of thing, and or really be more focused on giving. Like their role is supposed to be just giving. I mean, I know that's not true, right? Um, and it makes me wonder, first of all, how do we really help people really recognize that the big difference between a sort of narcissistic, I'm so wonderful and great and I deserve all of this, I deserve everything, blah, 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 to really being in a divine sort of role, like this being part of the divine, which is completely and utterly pure.
Love this question. And I don't have the answer, but let's explore. So, yeah, a couple things came up. One, I think in the work that I do, one of the my hopes and prayers is that people start to click with the activities or embodiment exercises or invitations that I give them to go try out in the real world. It clicks that receiving is giving. And we all feel that. And that's also the archetype of the healer as well, like really understanding there is no difference between the giver and the receiver and the giver, they are one. That's like the biggest part of Reiki, or one of the biggest aspects of it. And I think of something that Brene Brown has studied, and she talked about how if you people get trust and the trust building process very wrong. They think that trust is built off of like doing things for other people. Like, oh, this person will trust me if I like help them move. They'll trust me if I'm like, always there for them. If I pick up the call, if whatever, like however we think, if they're doing stuff for me, they're going to like trust me. But what she talked about is there's many different things that build trust. And one of them is actually, and she doesn't say it exactly like this, but you can look up Trust Brene Brown and read all of them, is somebody's ability to receive help actually shows the person that, oh, like this is a trustworthy relationship. I can trust this person because she knows how to ask for help. And wow, she's asking me for help, so she must trust me. And I think that that is like really overlooked for reasons we don't have time for, but it's true. Like my partner is lucky that he is the one that I'm going to for help. I am blessed and privileged that out of all of the people that he can choose, he turns to me for help, for advice, for comforting, for companionship. Like it shows me that he trusts me. And so I think it's understanding that receiving is giving truly, because it's so nourishing for people to give. Like I always joke when I'm complimenting somebody and they reject it, I'm like, it would be so much more fun if you could just be in on it with me. Because it's like I'm over here like trying to compliment you and give you something and you're resisting it. And it's like, wouldn't it be so much more fun if we could both be like, yeah, I know my hair looks amazing. Yeah, I know I really just did an amazing job at that podcast. It'd be so much more fun. So I think receiving is giving, number one, like a deep reprogramming of that in our brains. Because also if you even think about it a layer further, when somebody gives, they're cultivating qualities in themselves that are really beautiful qualities. Like, so give more people, I'm going to say in this specific podcast too, more men opportunities to help you. Because even if there is resistance, like it's going to shape them into a better person. And that's part of, I think, the queen that like is still hard for me to look at, that like he's not going to like everything that I ask of him. The men you're dating aren't going to like and like be so excited to like help you build your furniture, but like at some level they are. So that's one piece. And then one more quick thing I'd like to say too is like, if you're embodying the queen, it doesn't mean that there are people below you. Every single person is a queen in their own right. But it's a good frame to take to understand that great queens, there are evil queens, right? Like watch Game of Thrones. There's really positive kings, I would say, in their divine masculine examples. And then people in toxic masculine, toxic king mode. There's divine queen, healthy, healed expression of the feminine. And then toxic, unhealed, wounded feminine. So I think what we're talking about here is looking at the lens of a queen who knows I'm here to take care of my community. I'm here to not only receive, but give in balance and harmony. And I also am looking at a room full of queens. And everybody is also a queen in their own right. Like I may turn to a queen for a recipe, where she may turn to like me as a queen for a word of advice on a guy that she's dating. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I really love that because so many women out there in the dating world look at other women out there as a threat to them, and how when you really shifted like that perspective and really recognizing we are all queens and we all have a king or another queen, that we have our person and we're not in actual competition, right? It might appear on the surface level when people are sort of operating from that lower kind of self, okay, that competition, which is really that mindset. But when you can shift into that higher perspective, I can only imagine how women could actually be helping each other be able to find and open to and receive. So, and even give like, oh, this is not my king, this one belongs to you, versus I dated him once, don't ever date him. It's like,
Yeah.
well, he's not your king, and that a lot of that goes around. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've heard of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
As
Like, can we be
opposed,
a generous queen?
right. And just be like, it isn't mine and it doesn't belong to me. And so, of course, wow, this is so cool that a queen that I'm connected to is a good mate for this person or whatever. So I
Yeah.
love that. I'm really gonna, thank you, Sam. I'll use that with people for them to look
Yeah.
at other women out there as also queens.
Yes, and that's a great way. I mean, listen, I still have it flare up for sure, but I'm deep enough in the practice of like uh healing sister wound, mother wound, witch wound. If this is like really speaking to you, like go, I have podcast episodes on it. We could do a future podcast on sister wound, mother wound, witch wound. It's so real and it's not ours. Like, I really believe that it's not true to our nature to see other women as competition. Like, it makes me really emotional thinking about it. Like, we are each other's sisters, mothers to each other, greatest allies. And, when I see anyone who triggers me in any way, which obviously it happens less and less nowadays, I know, like, oh, I'm just seeing a queen. That's it. And I'm seeing an opportunity for me to rise in whatever area is pissing me off in them, So, yeah. And it's like queens recognize queens. We do. So let's recognize each other more.
Yes, let's rise together. Well, we're coming to the end. Thank you for your time, but I feel like I have to just do a quick question on dating apps because people will probably be curious, if they are dating, they go through phases of like, okay, I'm going to go on and then I never want to see this again. I'm deleting it. So there's very like back and forth. And if you want to share a quick little your take on the apps.
I would love to because I have a lot of strong opinions. And I hope they're helpful. For some people, they're going to be. For some people, they're not. So you tune in and discern what is helpful for you. So little background on dating apps. One, if you are having, okay, what I have observed in working with women and them being in a deep introspective process on their dating experience is that women don't have a problem with dating apps. They don't not like dating apps. They do not like who they are on dating apps in relation to dating apps. Period. Because everything can be neutral in our lives. It is the narrative that we're placing, it's the label that we're placing, it's the judgment that we're placing, it's the fear that we're placing on the thing that is dictating the experience that we have with it. And so dating apps, if you want to look at it from the lens of love and of this portal of potential connection, I like to look at it and joke like, okay, if God and Goddess got together and they were like, okay, let's bring more love to the planet. And like everybody's so busy and they're traveling all the time and people aren't going into work anymore. So it's harder to meet people. And we're all living in these isolated little boxes. They're probably not going to meet at the grocery store because of Instacart. And like, how can we help people fall in love? And they brainstorm and they're like, we're going to send this idea for an application that people could go on and from the comfort of their own homes. We're going to work our little fairy magic and we're going to help people find each other. And all they have to do is pay $20 because of capitalism. I don't know why they have that down there, but whatever. And they send this idea and people made these apps. And then you could look at it and you can approach it with reverence. You could approach it with, wow, like what an era to be incarnated into, that it's this easy, potentially, if it's my path, to connect not only with my person, but just with people. Like, what an opportunity to enter into an intimate moment with somebody so vulnerably and say, oh, hey, are you looking for love? Oh, hey, are you just looking for sex? Hey, are you looking for a friend? What are you looking for here? I'm curious about you. You're now on my path. Cool. it's an opportunity to, every single time you swipe, because this person, you're not attracted to them, it doesn't feel right, for you to swipe and send some love of like, oh, you're one step closer to your queen. Go on, king. Wow. It's an opportunity to practice boundaries. It's an opportunity to play with energy, because truly, like, and I do this, women come in, they hate the apps, and they leave and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting the most incredible matches because I'm doing these practices. Some of them I'm sharing now, a lot I share in the program. And my energy has completely shifted, and the caliber, the quality of this person that I'm attracting in my eyes is completely different. And so it's up to you. Like, if you want to approach it and be, have it be judgmental, feel scarcity, feel annoyed, have no boundaries around it, have no respect. Like, if we're talking about being in divine union and you're scrolling while you're on the toilet, or like, half driving and you're getting pissed, like, well, why are you calling in your person like that? Like, call it, light a candle, spend 5 minutes a day on it, send love to the people that aren't your match. I think they could be amazing. And I'll say too, like, I know many people and now have clients that have met their person on the apps. It's a real thing. And like, I had an intuitive knowing, I was being open to being proven wrong, that I was going to meet my person in person. I just had a feeling about that. And I still felt like being on apps was really supportive for my journey. And it was. Like, I met amazing people. I practiced receiving. I practiced non-judgment. I practiced just like expressing different parts of myself without judging, playing with energy and like seeing who I could attract. And I was open to that being my person. But all of those people I dated from the apps also led me to my partner, because it's all relevant. So hopefully you could find something from that can help make your experience just more enjoyable. Because like, why do anything that makes you feel terrible? And if you really feel like it's not right, there are people meeting their partner in person every single day still. Like, you can do it too, promise.
Yeah, beautiful. Just opens it up to, whether it feels right to you, which is like so much what you're about. And practicing, like, I love that, using it as a practice. And why not? Like, we all need human connection, and the world needs more love in our connections as well. So sending love to people, whether they're you want to pursue that further or not, it's only gonna help to send some love.
Yeah. The spiritual experience, like, you're going to learn a lot about yourself if you have a lens of awareness of your judgments, of your insecurities. Like, dating is such a portal for self-discovery. Oh my goodness. And if you are aware of that, it can be one of the most illuminating, intoxicating, liberating times of your entire life. So I'm a big fan of it. I don't want it right now, but if I found myself in it again, I would grieve for a long time, and I would approach it in the same way.
I can only imagine the Date Like a Queen. Your program is like also a group program, right? So how supportive that can be for women, because as we were talking earlier about this sort of competitive and sometimes having just really negative experiences. I've had people say, I'm not going to tell anyone about, this new person that I'm dating, because of their energy that they're going to put on it, and the things are going to get in my head. And that way that dating and having that support in a community can offer a sense of both neutral but also positive and encouraging energy. So I think, I've sent people your way, Sam.
Yay. I can't wait. There's two options with Date Like a Queen. If somebody wants to do it on their own and it's a bit more affordable, you can do the self-paced version, which is like all of the audios, and it goes through 4 phases that I've identified to like really get clear, get connected to self, play with the energetics of availability, receiving, queen embodiment, like all of the dating questions, like seriously, you could ever have are answered in there. Or if you do want to be a part of a group, you want mentorship and reflection, really invitations to go deeper, opportunities to release shame or rewire some of these beliefs and be supported. Like I would say supported with other women. That's been one of the most unexpected parts of Daily Go Queen. The live version is like women walk out like truly sisters. Like it is so unbelievable to be so vulnerable in a space of like calling in love and do that amongst other women so consciously. It's incredible. And like entire lives are being like just so much magic. So yeah, I'm ridiculously grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, love to hear more about it maybe in the future. And we are so happy to have you as a guest today, and I'm sure again and again. You have so much wisdom and so much just beautiful energy that you bring to everything that you've done, and seeing you along your journey. I just want to say, like, the image that I had of you back at Aha Soup was like you were a witch back then, just making your brew, your little soup brew. Okay. You had no idea that those little ingredients, all of it, and there is a sense in you that each of these steps along the way have been a special ingredient to grow and nurture a connection with all parts of yourself. And it's such a joy to see you and see you really shining.
I literally would not be here without you in the same way. Like, truly, whoever is listening to this, keep listening to the podcast, work with Patty and Lizzie. Like, the two of you, you are something out of this world. Like, I have you both in my gratitude and in my prayers every single day, and I'm so blessed to do this with you. It's like to have your respect, Lizzie, to have your trust, like have both of your respect and trust and love is like truly, I cherish the two of you beyond.
Yay. We are queens celebrating each other today.
Woo!
Well, much love, and hopefully our listeners will take a look at the offerings and connect. All right.
We'll put all the info below.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If it spoke to you, it'll probably speak to someone you love too. Share it with a friend and leave us a 5-star review to help spread the message it's never too late to heal.